Hello again, everyone. Mr. Cruze here with another geometry review for you. This time, the Chapter 12 review, Part 2, all about circles and all their fascinating little properties. Remember, at any time, you can pause the video, rewatch it as many times as you need to understand the concepts presented. You can always tweet me, you can email me, you can come in for extra help. Plenty of resources available at your disposal. All right? Let's start these. We're going to find the value of missing variables for a bunch of them here, for an entire page, basically. We remember what we did in class, that if we have an inscribed angle, this is an angle whose vertex is on the circle, like that, its measure is half the arc that it makes. This is very similar, kind of, to the central angles. Maybe I'll draw this in red, where central angles were exactly the same measure. Okay, so keep that in mind. Central angles were exactly the same, but inscribed angles are half, which means A is 106 divided by 2, which is 53 degrees. Okay. 11 is very similar, only now you might need to get this arc and go backwards. Well, not really going backwards, not yet. You'll get this arc and then go and take half of it to get B, right? I noticed that the whole circle has to add up to 360. I've got this part, I'm missing A, so I take 128 plus 134, which is 262, and I take 360 minus 262, and that gives me A, which is 98. You can check it if you don't believe me. All three of these have to add up to 360. You take 98 divided by 2, and you get B, which is 49. It's half of 98, because that's the arc that it makes. If it helps you to trace these things out like I'm doing, go for it. Okay, I know you don't have the colored pens available to you, but anything helps at all. Okay. Oh, this one. A happens to be half of this arc that it makes, which is 144. So A is half of 144, which is 72 degrees. B happens to be half of this 48 degree arc. It's 24 degrees. And C, C's a little trickier. I happen to notice that C is vertical with this angle here, which means it is also technically C. And then, if you look, you've got a triangle, okay? Lots of triangles. I told you guys triangles would come back. Anyway, would you agree that A plus B plus C has to equal 180, right? So let's see, 72 plus 24. Take 180 minus 96. And you get 84 degrees for C. Okay, there might be some other ways you can get that, but I think that's good enough. 13, we've got another triangle here. I happen to notice this is a semicircle. They will try and throw semicircles at you a lot, which means this arc actually measures 180 degrees. That means A is half of it, because A makes that arc. So A is 90. A is 90. That's nice. B is going to be half of C. So I might as well find C first. I know that 180 plus 124 plus C has to add up to 360, the full circle. So I take 124 plus 180. I get 304. 360 minus 304 is 56. You're probably screaming at your computer, Mr. Cruze, if this half's 180, so is the top half. Very observant. Good work. 56 and 124 must add up to 180 as well, and they do. Anyway, C is 56, which means B is half of it, which is 28, because B is half of the arc that it makes. 14 is a little fun because you have to kind of imagine some things. First off, if we have a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle, then the opposite angles are supplementary. So that means C plus 102 has to equal 180, and it also means D plus 92 equals 180. So from there, we can go ahead and figure out D equals 88 when we subtract 92. And we can also figure out that C, when we subtract 102, C equals 78. Right? So there's C and D. We can go ahead and get those in there now. C is 78, and D is 88. Now, I just have to find A and B. Well, here's the thing, folks. I noticed that this 102 degree angle is an inscribed angle, and it makes not only the 140 degree arc, notice it doesn't connect all the way, it also makes the A arc. Which means if I double 102, which is 204, that equals A plus 140. It's these two arcs put together that make this angle, right? So I subtract 140, A ends up being 64. We'll move that up there. A is 64. We'll shift colors yet again. We'll do purple this time. I happen to notice the 88-degree angle makes A and B together. Makes the A and B arc. Again, I'm telling you, tracing these things out really helps. Okay, it helps you paint the picture. Anyway, I happen to notice that arc has to be twice 88. Twice 88 is 176, and that means that has to equal A plus B. But here's the catch. I know what A is. A is 64. So I subtract 64. B ends up being 112 when we solve for that. Okay? So sometimes they might give it to you in an order that you can solve it in. Sometimes they might not. All right? 15. Right off the bat, again, these are kind of like inscribed angles. When you have a tangent and a chord, they basically follow the same rules. X is going to be half of 184, so this will be 92. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can find y. This is how I'm going to do it. I notice the x and y have to be supplementary. They have to add up to 180 because they're a straight line. So that means this is 88, because 88 plus 92 has to equal 180. And then I double 88 to get 176 for z. You might also notice that z and 184 have to add up to 360, and then you can cut it in half to get y. Okay, very, very straightforward things here. Okay. Let's see, 16. Where do I begin? I'm probably going to go with B first. B is 32. Let's see, a couple other things. I happen to notice that B plus A makes a semicircle, which means B plus A has to add up to 90 degrees. So A is actually 90 minus 32, which is 58 degrees. I guess I'll put degree symbols. That'd be fine. Okay, now a couple of other things. Let's see. Since this is 180, that means this is as well. So if that's 102, that means this is 78 degrees. And then I can get C just by taking half of 78, which is 39 degrees. Okay. There's a couple ways you can actually get C. You can do half of 102 is 51. 51 plus A plus B plus C has to add up to 180. So obviously, since that's 90, C and 51 have to add up to 90 as well, which means C has to be 39. There's a couple ways you can get it. Never ever let a teacher tell you that there are not multiple ways to do things, okay? Here we have a central angle, and I want to stress, if it's a central angle, it's the same as the arc that it makes. But you might notice that D also makes the same arc, but D is an inscribed angle, which means it's half. So D is actually, in fact, 54. So 54 degrees, we'll go for that. B is probably the next one that I would get, just off the top of my head. It's going to be half of 156, so that'll be 78. It's just half of 156, right? Let's see, A and C. Well, I know what I can do. All of these arcs, C plus 108 plus 156, has to add up to 360. So I'm going to take 360 minus 156 minus 108. I get 96 for C. C is 96, which means A is half of 96. So you divide that by 2 and you get A is 48. Okay? Put degrees on those. Okay, 18 is where we start getting into a new batch of types of problems. Basically, we have two secants that make an angle. If the angle is outside, what you do is you take this big arc minus this small arc and then cut it in half. So x is basically 1/2 72 minus 22. You take the big arc minus the small arc if they're outside. Outside, you subtract. Okay? So anyway, x is 1/2 of 50, which means x equals the lovely 25 degrees. Okay? Not too shabby. You know what? I think we'll stop this video there. I'll make a third video for the last page, alright? Remember, you can always come in early in the morning. You can post comments on this video. You can tweet me at Mr. Cruze Math. You can email me. I am here for you so that you do well on this test, alright? As always, I wish you luck. See you later.